Hello everyone. In this session, we will be discussing the concept of training and development. Before going through the concept of training and development, in this session, we will be discussing the concept of training and development, what training means and how it is different from development, different training processes, as well as the importance of training we will be discussing. And also, we will be overviewing the concept of development, what is it and why it is important for the organization. Coming towards the concept and definition of training, training is basically the act of increasing knowledge and skills of an employee for a specific job. Through training, we can just enhance the skills of the employee who are working in the organization, and that will be related to their specific job only. These training programs must be periodical and it must be provided to the employees at regular intervals so that they can continuously increase their efficiency in whatever job they are, or whatever skill set they are required they need, that can be developed with the help of the training. Flippo has defined training as an act of increasing the knowledge and the skills of an employee for doing a particular job. Means in whatever job we are, if we try to improve ourselves in that particular job, and for that job, a kind of training is provided to the concerned employee to improve his efficiency. So basically, that is training. As far as objectives of training is concerned, it increases the knowledge of workers in whatever job role he is. Also, it is used to impart new skills among the workers systematically. Suppose if some new kind of technology is being introduced in the organization, so to make our employees aware of that technology or familiar with that technology, the training program is imparted to the employees in the organization. If we need to bring changes in the attitude of the workers towards their fellow members, towards their supervisors or the organization, for that purpose also training is uh, provided to the employees to improve the overall functions of the organization. If we want the overall function of the organization to be improved, then for that purpose also training could be provided to the employees. Generally we can see that lot many accidents take place in the organization, and because that is just because the lack of knowledge regarding the machinery, the tools that the employees are using at the workplace. So the number of accidents could also be reduced if organization tends to provide their workers with such kind of safety training. And the last one, we can also prepare our employees for uh, some higher skills, to develop some specific skills in the workers, and for that purpose also training can be used in the organization, and through that training we can prepare our workers for higher jobs in our organization also. Why training is required? What is the need of providing training to the employees? That is the basic question of this session. Also, it is known as training need analysis, TNA. So, before we impart any kind of training to the employees in our organization, first we need to identify that whether training is required or not. If it is required and if it is mandatory and if it is required for the development of the individuals, then only it should be imparted to the employees. Otherwise, if it is not required and still we provide training to the employees, we can say that it is just the waste of the resources, the waste of time, etc. So therefore, before providing training to the employees, there must be a process, that is training need analysis. And basically it identifies the gap between employee training and the need of training, whether employee needs training or not. That is identified through this process, and this is the first stage in the training process, which involves a procedure to determine whether training will uh, sort out the problem that has been identified or not, and then only training should be imparted. Types of training, if I talk about, there are several types of training, in which the first one is induction, which is concerned with introducing a new employee to the organization. When employee joins an organization, he is being introduced to the procedures, rules, regulation, as well as with the new employees of the organization. So basically, that process is known as induction training program. Second is the job training. It is a type of training in which training given to the workers is generally related to the specific job that a worker is performing, or the job that the employee is handling. The third is internship training, and under this method, the educational institutes makes an arrangement for providing their students practical knowledge uh, in an industrial enterprise, so that whatever they are learning in the classroom, they can just learn the applicability of those learnings in the industrial establishments. Methods of training, two methods of training there are. First is on the job, and second one is off the job training. If we talk about on the job training, it also consists of several several types, that is coaching, understudy, position rotation, etc. Whereas when we talk about the off the job training, it consists of special lectures, some conferences, vestibular training, simulation exercises, sensitivity training, etc. So coming to on the job training, basically it is considered to be the most effective method of training the operative personnel. And generally under this method, a worker is given training at the workplace by his immediate supervisor, and workers learn in an actual environment. It is based on the principle of learning by doing. Means worker performs his activities, and through his activities he tries to learn the thing that is important for him. First types of on-the-job training is coaching, under which the supervisors impart job knowledge to their subordinates. This method is undoubtedly very effective if superiors have sufficient time to provide coaching to their juniors. Generally, in the organization, the supervisors do not have much time to spend with their juniors, and in such situations, they are not available to teach something to their juniors. Second is the understudy. In this method, superior gives training to his subordinates as assistant. Means the subordinate assists his superior, and through his observation and experience, he learned the activities ongoing in the organization. And basically the purpose of this study is to prepare someone to fill the vacancy that may be caused by death, retirement, promotion, or transfer of the superior. So we can say that we are trying to create a manpower inventory in which we are nurturing the skills of our employees, so that in future they can hold the higher responsibilities. Next is the position rotation. In this method, the trainee is periodically rotated from one job to another instead of sticking to one job, so that he acquires a general background of every job. What happens in this method, whoever is the trainee, he is periodically rotated from one job to another, so that he can gain knowledge about, you can say, the every part of the job. He is not stick to one job, rather he tries to acquire the knowledge, the basic knowledge of different jobs. But yes, one thing that needs to be considered in this method of training, that the person should be allowed to stay on a job for a sufficient period, so that he may acquire full knowledge of the job, and he can apply that knowledge to in the you can say achievement of the objective of the organization. Next is the off the job training. This type of training is provided to the workers that are away from the workplace, or it can be said that training is provided generally away from the workplace to the workers. And in such situation, in such scenario, workers are free from the workload, and they can completely focus on just their training process. The first method of this of the job training is special lecture and conferences. Lectures and conferences, these are basically the traditional method and direct method of instruction. And every training program, we know that it starts with the lectures and conferences, which is a verbal presentation for a large audience, and it should be motivating and creating interest among the trainees. A speaker is there and he addressed the whole, or you can say the large audience regarding the rules, regulations, policies, or anything new that is to be introduced in the organization. Vestibule training. In vestibule training, the workers are trained in a prototype environment on specific jobs in a special part of the plant. An attempt in this type of training, an attempt is made to create a working condition that is very similar to the actual working condition. And after training, once the workers becomes mature enough to handle the things, then the trained worker may be put on a similar jobs in the actual workforce, in the actual workshop. So this is vestibule training. And generally, this is done on when the amount on the job training that has to be performed by the line manager is exceeded the capacity of the manager. And vestibule training is used generally for clerical training and semi-skilled training, which is not very expensive. For example, cabin crew training of an airliner, hotel kitchen workers training, etc. That comes under vestibule training. Next is a simulation. It is an artificial environment exactly similar to the actual situation, where four basic simulation techniques are used to impart training to the employees, that are management games, case study, role playing, or in-basket training. In this type of training also, the workers are provided with exactly similar situations as the real situation, uh, and it is done when there is danger in training, and also when on the job training cost is very high. For example, airplane pilot simulation, high and end military equipment simulation. In such cases, uh, provide training to the employees in an airplane. It is a little bit expensive, so that's why a similar situation is created, and the workers, employees are trained there, and finally they come back to their job. Management games, it is properly designed to enhance the analytical ability, mental ability, time management skills, decision making skills, and communicative and leadership qualities of an individual in the organization. Case studies are there again. Case studies are, we can say that training centered activities based on the topics that demonstrate theoretical concepts in an applied setting. And generally whatever we have learned in our classroom training, that how it is applicable, that is just checked through this case studies techniques. Therefore, it can be said that it is a method through which we can bridge the gap between theory and practice, and through this way we can encourage active learning among the students and among the employees as well. Next is a role playing. Each trainee takes the role of a person affected by an issue and studies the impact of the issues on human life. Uh, and this steps involved in role playing, including defining objectives, choose context and roles, introducing the exercise, training preparation, role play, concluding this discussion and assessment. Means the trainee generally plays the role of a person with whom he is inspired, or any person affected with any kind of situation. He tends to play the role, and accordingly he tries to just sort out the problem that has been assigned to him. Next is the in-basket training, which is also known as in-tray training. Basically, it consists of a set of business papers, which may include several emails, SMS, reports, memos, and other items. And after this, what a trainer is generally asked to prioritize the decisions, which is to be done immediately and which is to be done later on. Okay, and on the basis of priority, he needs to deal with the situations. Sensitivity training is there, that is T group training, and also it is known as laboratory training, as it is conducted under controlled conditions. This training is about making people understand about themselves and others reasonably, which is done by developing in them social sensitivity and awareness to the behavioral flexibility. We can, here in this type of training, we can just make our employees learn how to behave with themselves, how to behave with others, what kind of personality that needs to be developed, what kind of attitudes that they need to show in the organization, etc. Next is the executive development, which consists of all those activities that is performed by an executives and that is learned to improve the behaviors and the performance of the executive working in the organization. Basically, it is designed to improve the effectiveness of the managerial level jobs uh, in their present jobs, and also they are just prepared to hold the responsibilities of the future jobs as well. Objectives of executive development, if we talk about, so generally through this process, uh, the performance of the managers is improved who are working at all levels. It also identifies the persons in the organization with the required potential and prepare them for the higher positions in future. So the major objective of executive development is to develop our executives and to prepare them for the higher jobs in the organization. Also, we can ensure the availability of required number of executives uh, who can take over in case of any kind of contingencies that happens in near future. Also through this techniques or through executive development, the obsolescence can be prevented. Obsolescence of executives can be prevented by exposing them to latest concepts, latest techniques, latest technologies in their concerned area of specialization. In case there are elderly executives in the organization who have risen from the ranks by highly competent and academically qualified professionals, they can be replaced through the process of executive development, because through this process we can prepare, we can improve the efficiency of the existing employees in the organization. This process also improves the thought processes and analytical abilities. Also, it provides opportunities to executives so that they can fulfill their career aspirations or they can think about their career development. If they are in the organization, they are getting a good opportunity to develop their career as well. So they can, by working over here, they can manage their career as well. Also, they are trained to understand the problems of humans, the workforce who are working in the organization, and how they can improve the skills of the humans who are working in the organization. As we have discussed the concept of training and development, here there are some of the difference between training and development. Talking about training, it increases knowledge and skills of an employee who is doing a specific job. Development means growth of an employee in all respects, or it can be said that it shapes attitude of an employee. Training is generally used to imparting specific skills among workers and employees, whereas the development is associated with overall growth of the executives. Again, training is concerned with maintaining and improving current job performance, which has a short-term perspective, means while you are in that particular job, that will be that will be beneficial for you for that span of time only. But when we talk about development, it seeks to develop competencies and skills for future performance. Thus, it has a long-term perspective. Training is job centered in nature, whereas development is career centered in nature. Means once we are trying to develop our employees, somewhere it is going to benefit the career of the employees as well. In training, the role of trainer or supervisor is important, whereas in development, it is a kind of self development, and the executive has to be internally motivated for this kind of self development. So that is the end of our session in which we were discussing the concept of training and development. Thank you.